My sister stole my boyfriend, then left me to die in a car accident. Look how she's laughing at your photo, were my last words alive. I woke up 12 years in the past with one mission: revenge on those who destroyed me. Hello everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Before I begin my story, I'd love to know which city you're joining us from. Please feel free to share in the comments. Now, let me take you into this story. When I was 3 years old, my mother abandoned me. When I was 16, they came to find me. Because of this, my sister wouldn't stop crying and throwing tantrums. Worried about my sister, my mother had me live in the basement with our housekeeper. Like a rat no one wanted to see in the gutter. I studied like my life depended on it and got into Yale. My sister wanted it. My parents told me to give it to her. Later, I had a boyfriend. My sister set her sights on him. Reborn into this life, I want nothing anymore. I just want to stay far away from this family. My head was splitting as if struck by a heavy hammer. I snapped my eyes open, and the first thing that hit me was the smell. A thick, acrid smell of mildew and damp earth. Before me was a dim, damp basement. The concrete walls were crawling with mottled water stains, and a single, flickering yellow bulb swayed overhead, casting long, sick-looking shadows. "Thea. You're awake." A voice, wrinkled and kind, pulled me from the fog. A face etched with concern leaned in. It was Agnes, our old housekeeper. She was holding a steaming bowl. "Quick, drink this bowl of porridge. You've been asleep for a long time." Agnes. The basement. I suddenly sat up, my heart hammering against my ribs. I looked around, my eyes trying to make sense of it all. In the cramped space, there was a worn wooden cot, a peeling wardrobe, and a pile of clutter in the corner. This is the basement. The one I lived in when I was 16. The one they put me in after they brought me back from the countryside. I trembled as I reached out my hand, staring at my slender, slightly pale arm. It was smooth. Young. It was not the pair of hands I remembered, the hands of a 28-year-old woman, calloused and scarred from years of hard work. So, I've been reborn. Reborn. In the very year I was first found by the family that threw me away. My heart pounded wildly as memories from my past life, my first life, surged like a tidal wave, and I had to clamp a hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. When I was 3, my mother, Janice, drove me out to my grandmother's tiny house in the countryside. She claimed the family was too poor to raise me. She told my grandmother it was just for a little while. She never came back. After my grandmother passed away when I was 7, I was taken in by distant relatives. Taken in is a kind way of saying it. I was an unpaid servant. I endured endless hardships, growing up like a wild weed, never belonging anywhere, never being loved. Then, at 16, the family prospered. My father, Wayne, had struck it rich in real estate. And suddenly, my mother remembered me. She sent someone, a man in a crisp suit, to bring me back to their mansion. I was so stupid. I was so naive. I thought the hardships were finally over. I thought the love of my biological parents had finally arrived. But reality slapped me so hard it left a permanent mark. My sister, Blair, whom I had never met, had been spoiled rotten since childhood. She was the princess. The moment she found out there was suddenly a new sister in the family, a dirty, rural sister, she immediately threw a tantrum. She smashed half the vases in the house, screaming that I was trash and that she wouldn't share her parents. My mother, Janice, was heartbroken. Not for me. For Blair. She held Blair in her arms, stroking her hair. "Blair, dear, don't cry. Don't cry, sweetie. It's all Mommy's fault. I'm sorry, I am so sorry I brought her back and made you upset." Then, she turned to me. Her eyes, which had held a flicker of curiosity when I first arrived, were now devoid of any warmth. There was only impatience and coldness. "Thea," she said, her voice sharp. "Look how upset your sister is. Here's what we'll do. The rooms upstairs are all taken. So you'll stay with Agnes in the basement. It's quiet there. It won't disturb your sister's rest." And just like that, the nominal second young lady of the family, ended up in the gutter. I lived with Agnes in the damp, dark basement, like a rat that couldn't show its face. My father, Wayne, had no objections. His eyes were fixed only on his pampered, perfect eldest daughter. From then on, I became invisible in that house. An unnecessary existence. Blair used my things as if they were hers. She stole any small snack Agnes tried to save for me. She tattled in front of our parents, claiming I had stolen her hairpin, and our parents always blamed me without hearing my side. "Thea, how can you bully your sister? She's been delicate since she was little. You have to be considerate of her." Delicate? Blair was a monster. I endured it all. I endured it because I was starving for family affection. I longed to be accepted, to earn their love. I was a fool. I threw myself into my studies, turning all my grievances and frustrations into motivation. I knew that only by getting into a good university could I leave this suffocating home. Heaven rewards the diligent. I was admitted to Yale. It was the school I had dreamed of, my ticket to freedom. But on the day I received the acceptance letter, Blair threw another tantrum. She cried and screamed that she also wanted to go to Yale. She begged me to give her my spot. My mother, Janice, came to me, not with congratulations, but with a pleading tone. "Thea, look how much your sister wants to go to Yale. She's the treasure of our family. You should let her have this chance. You're a girl, what use is all that studying? You'll just get married someday anyway." My father, Wayne, was more direct. "Thea, give the acceptance letter to your sister. This is an order." I refused. For the first time in my life, I said no. So they confiscated my ID card. They took my household registration book. They locked me in the basement, and I heard nothing. In the end, Blair proudly went off to Yale with my acceptance letter. As for me, I could only watch helplessly as my dreams were trampled. I was trapped. Later, I finally escaped. I was 18. I got a job at a diner. I struggled through life on my own, and eventually, I met my boyfriend, Declan. He was a ray of light in my dark life. He was gentle and caring. He promised to give me a home. He was the first person who ever told me he loved me. But when Blair, home from my university, saw Declan, she set her sights on him, too. She used the same trick again. Crying and making a scene in front of our parents, claiming that she had her eye on Declan first, that I had stolen him from her. This time, our parents came to my tiny apartment. They came to persuade me to give Declan up to Blair. They said, "Thea, your sister isn't well. If she can't have Declan, she'll be heartbroken and her health will suffer. Just pity her a little. She was as strong as an ox." I refused. I screamed at them to get out. I would not give him up. As a result, Blair schemed against me. She set me up. She took photos, manipulated text messages. She made Declan believe I was unfaithful, that I was cheating on him. And he believed her. Just like that. He cruelly broke up with me over the phone. He called me names I can't repeat. I went to explain to him. I was hysterical, running through the rain, crying so hard I couldn't see. I had to make him understand. I ran into the street. I got into a car accident. Before I died, lying broken on the wet asphalt, I saw them. Standing in the distance, under an awning. Blair was nestled in Declan's arms, a triumphant, sickening smile on her face. She was looking at my photo on her phone, and she was laughing. That's when I realized. The accident, the car that hit me, it wasn't an accident. She did this, too. An overwhelming wave of hatred and resentment swept over me, making me scream into the endless darkness. Thea. Thea, what's wrong? You look terrible. Agnes's voice, thick with worry, pulled me back to the present. Back to the basement. Back to my 16-year-old body. I looked at Agnes's kind, wrinkled face, and my eyes welled up. In my past life, in all those miserable years, only Agnes was kind to me. She secretly brought me food when my parents forgot to feed me. She comforted me when Blair's cruelty became too much. I took a deep, shuddering breath. Agnes, I'm fine, I whispered. I suppressed the hatred that was boiling in my chest, but my voice trembled slightly. I just had a nightmare. But I knew. That was not a nightmare. That was my blood-soaked past life. God has eyes. He has given me rebirth. This time, Thea will never be anyone's pawn again. Blair. Janice. Wayne. And Declan. What you owe me, I will collect it all, principal and interest. One debt at a time. I didn't want to stay in this house even one more day. But I knew I couldn't run. Not yet. Suddenly, a loud gurgle came from my stomach. It was untimely and loud. Only then did I come to my senses and take the bowl from Agnes's hand. It was plain rice porridge with some pickled vegetables. This was my daily meal when I first returned. In my past life, I was just grateful to have food. Now, looking back, it's truly laughable. Agnes, thank you, I said, and I meant it. I sipped the porridge quietly. The warm liquid slid down my throat, slightly dispelling the chill deep in my heart. Even if it was plain porridge, I had to drink it. I had to take care of my body. I had to be strong. Oh, don't be so formal with me, Agnes sighed, patting my arm. Her hand was rough but warm. Thea, don't blame your parents. They just spoiled the young lady too much. You just got back, so bear with it for now. After a while, once they get used to you, things will be better. I looked down into the bowl. Get used to it. In my past life, I endured for so many years. Did they ever get used to it? No. They only made things worse. They only took more. But in front of Agnes, I didn't argue. I just nodded. I understand, Agnes. Only inside, I sneered. Endure? This time, I won't endure anymore. After finishing my porridge, I got up to wash. There was a small, cracked mirror over the utility sink. I stared at the girl in the reflection. She was 16. Her skin was pale from a long absence of sunlight. Her hair was lank. But her eyes no longer held the timidity and fear of her past life. Instead, they were filled with cold hatred and a resolute, unshakable determination. This was a new Thea. And she was ready for war. Suddenly, there was a series of sharp knocks at the basement door. Heavy, impatient. I narrowed my eyes and called out, "Who's there?" "It's me. Your mother." Janice's voice came from outside the door, tinged with impatience. "Open this door." A mocking smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Showtime. I opened the door. Janice stood there in a silk nightgown, her face lightly made up with delicate makeup even though it was early. She looked like she had just woken up, and she was clearly annoyed at being disturbed by my existence. She didn't even glance at me. Her eyes scanned the basement room with open disgust. "Come upstairs with me," she said impatiently. "Your father wants to talk to you." Her tone was cold. After speaking, she turned and walked upstairs. The sharp click-clack of her high heels on the stairs sounded like a hammer against my heart. I followed her, my bare feet cold on the wooden steps. I walked into the main living room. It was just as I remembered. Obnoxiously large, filled with expensive, tasteless furniture. Sunlight streamed in through the massive windows, but the room felt cold. Wayne sat on the sofa, holding a document in his hand. And Blair. Blair was snuggled up beside him, wearing a beautiful pink princess dress, even though it was a random weekday morning. When she saw me come in, she immediately frowned, her perfect nose wrinkling. She buried her face into Wayne's arm and whispered, just loud enough for me to hear. "Daddy, what's wrong with her? Why does she smell so weird?" Janice immediately shot me a glare. "Thea, what's going on with you? Didn't you take a bath? And look at what you're wearing. Those are rags." She sighed, as if my very presence was a massive burden. "I'll have your sister bring you some of her old clothes. The ones she doesn't wear anymore." Old clothes. In my past life, I wore a lot of Blair's hand-me-downs. Those clothes were either laughably out of fashion or had their edges cut up by her, which she proudly called a gift. I said nothing. I just looked coldly at their happy little family of 3. I felt like an outsider. Because I was. Wayne finally put down the documents and looked at me. His expression immediately turned serious. This was his business face. "Thea," he said, his voice clipped. "You just got back, and you aren't familiar with the situation at home yet. Your mother and I discussed it." He cleared his throat. "Since your sister is weak and needs care, you'll be responsible for looking after her daily needs. Getting her snacks, helping her with her schoolwork, picking up her room. Things like that. It's also a good chance for you to get to know her better." I stared at him. In other words, they wanted me to be Blair's servant. In my past life, I did the same. I washed Blair's clothes by hand. I served her tea and water. The slightest mistake, the tea was too hot, the water not cold enough, and I would earn her scolding and beating. And my parents? They would just say I was being unreasonable. Recalling that past life, that humiliation, a cold fire lit in my stomach. I looked him dead in the eye. "I won't do it." My voice was low, but it was clear enough for everyone to hear. The atmosphere in the living room froze instantly. Wayne's face darkened. "What did you say?" Janice frowned, her voice rising. "Thea! How can you talk to your father like that? Asking you to take care of your sister is already a favor. There are so many people who would love the chance to serve your sister and don't even get it." Blair, on the other hand, wore a look of pure amusement. A smug, nasty smile curled at the corners of her mouth. "Exactly," she drawled, tossing her perfect hair. "A wild girl from the countryside, and she dares to be disobedient. Dad, Mom, I think she's doing it on purpose. She just doesn't want to serve me." I looked at Blair's triumphant face, and I sneered inwardly. I am a daughter of this family, not a servant. I met Wayne's eyes without a trace of fear. "If you want someone to take care of her," I said, my voice as cold as the room, "you can hire a nanny. Or you can do it yourselves. I have my studies to focus on. I don't have time for this." Janice looked like I had slapped her. "What servant? This is to help you two sisters bond." "I don't have time," I repeated. Wayne's face turned pale with anger. He stood up. "How dare you? Such insolence. Truly raised in the countryside, not knowing a bit of manners." Janice was furious too, pointing a perfectly manicured finger at my nose. "I think you just need to be disciplined. We brought you into this house. Whether I have manners or not is none of your business," I retorted coldly, cutting her off. "If there's nothing else, I'll be going now." After speaking, I turned and walked away. I left the three of them standing there, their mouths open, completely dumbfounded. "Stop right there!" Wayne shouted angrily. I didn't slow my pace. I headed straight down the stairs, back to the basement. I closed the door behind me, the cheap wood rattling in the frame, and leaned against it. My heart was pounding. It was the first time I had ever stood up to them. And the feeling. It was nerve-wracking, yes. But it was also exhilarating. "Thea? Are you okay?" Agnes heard the noise upstairs and asked with concern, her hands twisting in her apron. "I'm fine, Agnes," I said, managing a small smile for her. "From today on, I won't let anyone bully me anymore." Agnes looked at me, her eyes studying my determined gaze. She paused for a long moment, then let out a slow sigh. "Good child. As long as you've come to terms with it yourself. That's what matters." I knew Agnes was worried. Worried I would offend the family and suffer for it. But she didn't know. I had already died once. What was there left to fear? In the days that followed, I truly became an outcast in their eyes. And I was fine with that. They asked me to take care of Blair. I refused. They wanted me to do housework, polish the silver. I refused. They tried to confiscate my books, saying studying was pointless for me. I locked them in the wardrobe and warned them that if they touched my things again, I would call the police for theft. I didn't care if it was an empty threat. It worked. Janice and Wayne were furious. They called me ungrateful. A thankless wretch. They stopped pretending altogether. I was no longer their daughter, I was just a problem. I no longer hoped for their familial love. I just wanted to study hard, get into Yale, and leave this nauseating home forever. Time flew by. I kept my head down. I went to the local high school, where I was just a quiet, pale girl who always got the best grades. I ignored the whispers. I ignored the pitying looks. Before I knew it, it was senior year. Blair's grades were, to no one's surprise, a complete mess. She spent her days shopping, eating, drinking, and playing. She had a clique of equally awful friends. As for me, I consistently ranked first in the grade. I was a short candidate for Yale and Peking University in the teacher's eyes. Blair was insanely jealous of this. She often deliberately disrupted me while I was studying. She'd blast music from her room, which was right above the basement. She'd badmouth me in front of our parents, saying I was putting on airs. She even claimed that my good grades must have been cheated. "No one from the countryside is that smart, Daddy," I heard her say. And Janice and Wayne actually believed her. They called me in for a talk. They told me to keep a low profile. They told me not to provoke Blair. They said she was in poor health and the stress of my success was bad for her. I only found it laughable. I didn't say a word. Talking to them anymore was just a waste of time. Soon, the college entrance exam arrived as scheduled. The moment I stepped into that exam hall, my heart was filled with a cold, clear determination. This time, no one would snatch away my admission letter from Yale. The exam went smoothly. I felt good. I performed very well. After the test, as I was walking out of the school, Blair was waiting for me, leaning against her new convertible. She approached me, feigning concern. "Sis, how do you think you did?" "I feel like I didn't do well this time. Maybe I won't get into a good university." I saw the calculation in her eyes and sneered inwardly. She was trying to undermine my grades again. I scoffed coldly. "What does that have to do with me?" Blair's face stiffened. "I'm your sister." After saying that, her eyes flicked around, and she lowered her voice into a conspiratorial whisper. "Little sister, you know I'm usually good to you, right? If you get into Yale, maybe you could give me your spot?" She smiled, a sickly sweet smile. After all, we look so much alike. No one would notice. Besides, Mom and Dad said that if I get into Yale, they'll buy me the latest sports car. And then I'll give it to you. How about that? Here it comes. The exact same words as in my past life. I looked at her greedy, stupid face and deliberately pretended to hesitate. But sister, Yale is my dream, I said, putting on a hesitant expression. Blair thought I was moved. She immediately scoffed, dropping the sweet act. Oh, can dreams put food on the table? In the end, you still have to find a good job, right? Her tone carried a hint of disdain. Besides, you're a girl. What's the use of attending such a good university? You'll just get married eventually, won't you? You might as well give the opportunity to me. I won't treat you badly. You should know, in this family, only flattering me is useful. But, I continued to pretend, putting on a hesitant expression. No ifs or buts. Blair was getting impatient. Her true colors were showing. I'm telling you, Thea. Whether you want to give up the spot or not, you have to. Mom and Dad said if you don't obey, they'll kick you out. For good this time. Sure enough. They were threatening me with being kicked out. I lifted my head and looked at Blair, my gaze icy cold. Blair, in your dreams. What did you say? Blair couldn't believe her ears. I said, in your dreams. The spot at Yale is mine, and no one is taking it away. As for kicking me out? Fine. I'd welcome it. After speaking, I ignored Blair, who was stomping her foot madly, and turned to leave. Who cares about this broken family? I could feel Blair's resentful gaze burning into my back, as if she wanted to tear me apart alive. But I didn't care. In the days that followed, I waited for the results to be announced while preparing to leave. I had secretly saved some money from my usual frugal living and by tutoring classmates. It wasn't much, but it was a start. On the day the results were released, I was admitted to Yale University. I was the top science student in the entire city. Without any doubt. The moment I received the acceptance letter, that thick, beautiful envelope, tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. This was what I deserved. However, before I could even rejoice, Janice and Wayne burst into the basement. They didn't even knock. Neither of them showed the slightest joy on their faces. Only greed. You really got into Yale? Janice said, her voice a little breathless. That's great. Our family finally has a Yale prodigy. Wayne said, beaming. Then, he immediately reached out his hand. Hand over the admission letter. Dad? Mom? What are you doing? I instinctively hid the letter behind my back. Doing what? Janice said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Of course, giving it to your sister. How can a daughter of our family let a wild girl from the countryside go to Yale? If word gets out, it would be a joke. Blair is our precious daughter. The spot rightfully belongs to her. I don't agree. I clutched the acceptance letter tightly. This was mine. Yours? You eat from this family. You wear this family's clothes. Everything you have is given by us. What's wrong with giving your spot to your sister? It was Wayne speaking, his voice sharp and angry. I'm telling you, Thea. You will hand over this acceptance letter today. Whether you want to or not. It's not up to you. After speaking, he tried to grab it from me. I was prepared. I dodged to the side. Hearing the commotion, Agnes quickly ran in. What's going on? Sir. Madam. Agnes. They're trying to snatch my acceptance letter. I hid behind Agnes and shouted. Seeing the situation, Agnes immediately understood. She stood in front of me, her frail body a shield. "Sir, madam, this is Thea's hard-earned achievement. You can't do this. Old hag. This has nothing to do with you. Get lost." Janice shrieked, impatient. Agnes craned her neck, still standing protectively in front of me. "Thea is a good kid, this acceptance letter is her dream. You can't take it away." Just as we reached a stalemate, Blair walked in. She held a document in her hand, a smug, triumphant smile on her face. "Dad, Mom, no need to waste words on her," she drawled. "I've already come up with a plan." She waved the paper in her hand. "I had someone make a fake acceptance letter. It's identical in every detail to the real one. When the time comes, she'll take the fake to enroll. And the real acceptance letter will naturally be mine." I stared at the fake letter in Blair's hand. My anger burned like fire. Such a poisonous, stupid scheme. "Blair, you're so despicable," I ground out through clenched teeth. Blair just sneered. "Do you think a wild country girl like you needs to talk about morals?" Janice and Wayne exchanged a glance, and both of them beamed with admiration. "Blair is really smart." Janice smiled. "All right, we'll do it your way." Wayne nodded as well. "Yes, Blair is getting more and more capable." He then looked at me coldly. "You think that without your copy of the admission letter, your sister wouldn't be able to go to school? You're really too naive." I took a deep breath. And suddenly, I burst out laughing. "Ha ha. Ha ha ha." Tears streamed down my face as I laughed. Janice and Wayne were unnerved by my laughter. "What are you laughing at?" Wayne asked, frowning. I wiped my tears away. My gaze turned cold and sharp as glass. "I'm laughing at your stupidity. I'm laughing at your naivety." I took out my phone. And I pressed play. Immediately, the conversation, Janice and Wayne forcing me to hand over the letter, and Blair smugly pulling out the fake letter, echoed from the phone speaker. "What's wrong with giving your spot to your sister? You will hand over this acceptance letter today, whether you want to or not. I had someone make a fake acceptance letter for her to use when she reports. The real one will naturally be mine." The recording reverberated clearly in the small, damp basement. Janice and Wayne's faces instantly turned a sickly, pale white. Blair was stunned, too. She hadn't expected me to record it. When did you record this?" Janice asked, her voice trembling. "Just as you were coming in," I said coldly. "I already knew you would pull this stunt." After speaking, I shook my phone. "I've already backed up this recording several times. I've emailed it to myself. If you dare snatch my admission letter, or try any more dirty tricks, I won't hesitate to hand it over to Yale. To the media. I'll let everyone know how this family treats their own daughter." "You wouldn't dare!" Wayne roared, but his voice was weak. He was only concerned about the family's reputation. "Watch me," I said. I looked straight into his eyes without a trace of fear. Janice and Wayne exchanged a glance, both seeing the fear and unwillingness in each other's eyes. They knew I wasn't joking. If this escalated, the family's reputation would be ruined. Blair trembled with anger, pointing at me and shouting, "Thea! You bitch! How dare you threaten us?" "Right back at you," I sneered coldly and put away my phone. "I'm not giving you the admission letter. And from today on, I'm moving out. I'll stay somewhere else until I report to Yale. If you dare to harass me again, or lay a finger on that letter, you'll face the consequences." With that, I ignored them and began packing my things. Agnes looked at me, her eyes full of comfort and support. Janice and Wayne's faces turned ashen. But they didn't dare take another step forward. I knew this was only the first move. They wouldn't let it go easily. But I was ready. This time, I would not only claim everything that belonged to me, but I would also make them pay for what they had done. I packed my things as quickly as possible. It wasn't much. Just a few old clothes and some books. As I was zipping up my old backpack, Agnes secretly slipped me a cloth pouch. It was heavy with coins and a few folded bills. "Thea, take this," she whispered, her eyes wet. "Take good care of yourself out there." I looked at Agnes's kind face, my eyes welling up. "Agnes, thank you." "Silly child," Mary patted my hand. "Call me when you get to school. Let me know you're okay." "Okay." I nodded firmly. As I stepped out of the basement, Janice, Wayne, and Blair were all sitting in the living room, their faces dark as they stared at me. As if I were an enemy. I ignored them and headed straight for the front door. "Stop right there," Wayne suddenly spoke, his voice low and angry. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at him. "You just want to walk away like that," he said coldly. "You eat from this family. You wear this family's clothes. And now that you've grown wings, you think you can just leave?" I sneered coldly. "Mr. Wayne. Since I came back at 16, I've lived in the basement. I've eaten leftovers and worn Blair's old, cut-up clothes. May I ask how much I've eaten from your family? How much I've worn? I've worked like a beast of burden in this house, serving your whole household. Isn't that enough to offset it?" Wayne was left speechless by my question. But Janice snapped sharply. "You ungrateful wretch! We brought you back, and this is how you repay us. If bringing me back is just to use me as a stepping stone for Blair, letting her trample on my dreams and my life to climb higher, then I'll bear being the ungrateful wretch." I looked at them, my gaze icy cold. "From today on, I, Thea, have nothing to do with your family." After saying that, I didn't stay any longer. I opened the door and walked out without looking back. The sunlight outside was a bit blinding. I squinted and took a deep breath. The air of freedom. It felt so good. I rented a small single room near the school with the money Agnes gave me and the little I had saved. It was simple, but at least it was quiet. In the days that followed, I waited for school to start while working part-time at a restaurant to earn money. I needed money. A lot of money. I needed it to support my life at university and to prepare for the future. But I never expected that while working at that restaurant, I would meet him. A gentle voice sounded behind me. "Thea?" I turned around, holding a tray of dirty dishes. I saw a boy wearing a white shirt, his smile pure and his eyes kind. It was Declan. My heart suddenly tightened. All the love, hate, and grudges from my past life surged up in an instant. This was the man I once loved deeply. The man who ultimately betrayed me. And the man who might even have been involved in plotting to take my life. "You are Declan?" I asked, feigning surprise, struggling to hide the turmoil inside. "It really is you." Declan laughed. "I thought I had mistaken you for someone else. What are you doing working here?" "Oh, just earning some pocket money," I lowered my head, avoiding his gaze. "What about you? How come you're here?" Declan pointed to a table not far away. "I came here to eat with my classmates." "Are you studying here too? How come I've never seen you before?" I whispered, "I just got admitted to Yale this year." A flicker of surprise and admiration immediately appeared in Declan's eyes. "Wow, that's amazing. I'm also at Yale, a sophomore this year. So you could say I'm your senior." He had excellent grades. It was no surprise he got into Yale. He was my senior before I was found by the family and had always encouraged me. But after they brought me back, we lost touch. This was how we met in my previous life. His gentleness and thoughtfulness were like a beam of light, illuminating my dark life, making me mistakenly believe I had found true love. But now, all I felt was irony. Declan looked at me, his eyes soft as he continued. It must be tough working here all alone, huh? If you need any help, you can always reach out to me. Here's my number. Write it down. He took out his phone to give me his number. And I looked at the wallpaper on his screen. My blood ran cold. It was a photo of him and Blair. They were smiling, their heads close together. So, at this time, he was already involved with Blair. In my past life, I always thought they got together after Declan and I started dating. I never expected they had contact this early. I just never knew. A wave of disgust surged in my chest. No, thank you, I said, taking a step back, avoiding the phone he handed over. I have something to do. I'll get going first. With that, I turned and walked away, not wanting to look at him again. The day school started arrived. Holding the real admission letter, I walked through the gates of Yale University. The campus was shaded with green trees, the environment beautiful. Watching the energetic students coming and going, my heart was full of emotion. In this life, I had finally stood here, through my own efforts. The enrollment procedures went smoothly. I got my student ID. I received my military training uniform without issue. I found my dorm room. It was small, but it was bright. I met my roommate, a cheerful girl named Sarah who didn't seem to have a care in the world. For a moment, I felt normal. Just as I was about to head to the dormitory carrying the uniform, a discordant voice rang out. Hey, isn't this our top scorer, Thea? Why are you here all alone? No one to help you carry your stuff? I looked up. And I saw Blair. She was wearing a beautiful, expensive dress, linking arms with Declan. They were standing not far away, a mocking smile on her face. Declan saw me, and his eyes flickered for a moment before returning to that gentle expression. Thea! You're here too. Let me introduce you, this is Blair. She's from your high school. You know each other, right? Obviously, he didn't know the relationship between Blair and me. Or he was pretending not to. I replied coldly, no. I don't. As I finished speaking, I turned to leave. But Blair said, little sister, that really hurts me. I am your sister. How can you say you don't know me? Declan looked shocked. You two are sisters? Blair nodded, putting on a pitiful face. Yes. She's my sister who was lost and left behind. After saying that, she came over and pretended to be affectionate, trying to take my hand. Sister, Declan and I just arrived too. We can help you out. I stepped aside to avoid her touch, my gaze cold as I looked at her. Blair. I don't think we're that close, right? Also, please stay away from me. I don't want to be associated with certain people. It's dirty. Blair's face turned pale with anger. Thea! Don't take my kindness for granted. Whether I have a shameful face or not, what does it have to do with you? I sneered coldly. But you, Blair, I never expected you'd actually dare to come. Whether you pass the exam or not, does anyone else not know? Do you think I don't know? What are you wandering around in front of me for now? Aren't you afraid I'll expose you and get you kicked out? Blair's face instantly turned deathly pale. She looked around in terror, afraid someone might overhear. Declan looked confused. Thea, don't say that. Blair, she. Declan, this has nothing to do with you, I cut him off, my gaze sharp as a knife. And stay away from me. Don't call my name. I find you disgusting. Declan's face also turned very unpleasant. He didn't expect me to be so disrespectful. He frowned, his tone somewhat displeased. Thea, are you out of your mind? Whether I'm out of my mind or not is none of your business, I said coldly. You two better stay away from me. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to make certain things public. I don't know how Blair showed up, but if she wants to die, I can oblige. A fake is a fake. It can never become real. During the following military training, I performed excellently and quickly bonded with my dorm mates, including Sarah. Blair, lacking a genuine admission letter, couldn't participate in the training. She couldn't even get into the dorms. She could only wander around the school, watching me laugh and chat with my classmates. The jealousy in her eyes was almost overflowing. Declan tried to approach me and apologize. He said it was his fault that day and asked me not to be angry. But I ignored him completely. I avoided him whenever I saw him. My coldness and distance left Declan frustrated, which, I think, only made him more eager towards me. This, in turn, caused Blair to vent all her resentment on me. She began spreading rumors about me at school. She told people I was a wild country girl, cunning and ruthless in my pursuit of getting into Yale. She even claimed I had a secret crush on Declan and was jealous of her relationship with him. These rumors quickly spread within a small circle. Some classmates who didn't know the truth started looking at me differently. My roommates, Sarah included, asked if it was true. I just said calmly, the pure remain pure. The impure remain impure. I knew that arguing with someone like Blair would only lower my own standards. I focused all my energy on studying and improving myself, proving everything with my abilities. Soon, the midterm exam results were out. Once again, I topped the grade. I delivered a harsh, undeniable blow to Blair's face. As for Blair, without a student status, she couldn't even take the exam. She had to slink home in defeat. David and Janice, upon learning that Blair had failed to get into Yale and had embarrassed herself at school, scolded her harshly. But they didn't dare to come after me. Because I had that recording in my hands. Just when I thought I could finally focus on my studies in peace, trouble came again. One night, I was walking back to the dorm from the study room. I was taking a secluded path, a shortcut. I was suddenly blocked by a few people. You're Thea, right? The blonde-haired boy at the front said, with a cocky, nasty smirk. Sister Blair told us to come say hi to you. A chill ran through me. So it really was Blair. Step aside, I said coldly, clutching my books. Oh, getting feisty, huh? The blonde boy chuckled. Sister Blair said we should come keep you company. How about you play with us, little sister? The blonde boy spoke, and then he tried to grab me. Just then, a voice suddenly rang out. Stop! What are you doing? I looked up, and to my surprise, it was Declan. How did he end up here? The blonde boy's expression clearly changed when he saw Declan. Obviously, they didn't want to cause real trouble. So they ran off as soon as they were spotted. Declan came over to me. Are you okay? They were sent by Blair, right? I said, brushing myself off. He sighed. Thea, I know Blair can be a bit headstrong. Don't stoop to her level. I looked at him. And I suddenly spoke up. What exactly is your relationship with Blair? Declan's eyes flickered, and he said, somewhat guiltily, she and I, we're just ordinary friends. Ordinary friends? I sneered. Do ordinary friends keep photos together on their phones? Declan's face instantly turned pale. He hadn't expected me to know about this. He hurriedly tried to explain. Thea, listen to me. It's not what you think. No need to explain, I cut him off. Declan. I don't care what your relationship with Blair is. Nor do I care what your intentions are in approaching me. I just want to tell you that the past is the past. From now on, I don't want any connection with you or your kind. So if you see me again, please pretend you don't know me. I walked around him and hurried toward the dormitory. In my past life, I longed desperately for warmth, thinking he was the one who would give it to me. Now, it seems I was mistaken about him from the very beginning. This time, no matter how he changes, I won't make the same mistake again. Days passed one by one. My life at school gradually got on track. My grades were excellent. My character steadily improved. I made a few genuine friends. In my sophomore year, thanks to my outstanding grades and abilities, I earned the opportunity to study abroad for an exchange program. This was a great opportunity for me to improve myself, so I agreed without hesitation. Just as I was about to handle the procedures for going abroad, Blair suddenly came to me. She completely changed from her usual arrogant and overbearing self. Instead, she was crying and begging me. "Sister, I was wrong. Please forgive me." She held my hand, tears streaming down like rain on pear blossoms. "I was too stupid. I shouldn't have taken your admission letter. Nor should I have threatened you. It's all my fault." I looked at her, my gaze calm and steady. "Blair, if you have something to say, just say it. No need to put on a show here." Blair saw through me. A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face. But she quickly returned to her pitiful expression. "Sister, I heard you're going abroad. I want you to give this opportunity to me." Sure enough. Here she was, trying to snatch something again. I laughed in disbelief. "Are you stupid? This chance to go abroad was given to me by the school. Even if I gave it to you, you're not a student at our school, so you can't go abroad. And even if you were, why should I give it to you?" Blair finally snapped. Her face twisted. "Just because I'm your sister. You should give me everything I want." Her eyes glared at me with venom as she said, "Thea, even if I can't go, you're not allowed to go either. Otherwise, I'll tell everyone about how you were abandoned as a child. And you won't be able to hold your head high at school. Let's see how you'll manage to go abroad then." Another threat. I looked at her twisted, ugly face and said, "Is that so? I'd like to see if you actually have the guts." Then, as if remembering something, I added, "And don't forget. I have a recording of you and your parents fighting over my acceptance letter. If you lose it again, I won't hesitate to let everyone know how the family treats their own daughter and what kind of person you, Blair, really are. Don't forget, your actions might even be illegal." Blair's face instantly turned pale. She knew I wasn't joking. Her voice trembled. "What exactly do you want?" "I don't want anything," I looked at her, my gaze icy cold. "I just want to tell you to put away your dirty tricks and try to be a decent person. And stay away from me. Or I won't hesitate to ruin your reputation." Of course, I soon found out why she suddenly lost her mind. It turned out that Declan, seeing she still hadn't gotten into Yale or any other good school, wanted to break up with her. At the same time, he was praising me in front of her, which is why she set her sights on me. That pair of scumbag and slut. I was speechless. But I didn't expect Blair to actually start spreading rumors about me. The school began to whisper that I was a child abandoned by my parents. That I was reclusive and psychologically twisted. They even said I bullied classmates. Some of my friends, even Sarah, also began to distance themselves from me. Their eyes filled with strange, pitying looks. I knew it was Blair's doing. But I neither got angry nor tried to defend myself. I knew that arguing was pointless. I went straight to the school authorities. The dean of students. And I handed over the recording of Blair snatching my admission letter. Along with evidence of her threatening me. And evidence of her spreading rumors. I told them about the incident in the alley. I told them I was scared, that this was harassment, and that I was worried I might need to speak to a lawyer if the school couldn't protect me. The leadership took it very seriously. They immediately launched an investigation. The results of the investigation came out quickly. The fact that Blair had snatched my admission letter and had maliciously spread rumors was made public. The school was in an uproar. No one had expected a student from outside the school to be so brazen. As a result, Declan, who had once been involved with her, was also sternly reprimanded by the school and given a demerit. Declan could no longer hold his head high at school. He became a pariah, despised by everyone. Upon learning the truth and seeing Blair's hypocritical and vicious face, he finally couldn't bear it any longer. He broke up with her. I thought that was the end. But I never expected David and Janice to find the school. Thea! You ungrateful wretch! How could you treat Blair like this? She's your sister. The moment Janice saw me, she pointed her finger at my nose and started yelling, right there in the middle of the quad. Wayne's face was dark as well. Thea! Apologize to your sister immediately and resolve this. Otherwise, we will sever all ties with you. I laughed. Fine. I couldn't ask for more. I looked at them, these two people who called themselves my parents. From the moment you threw me into the basement, from the moment you snatched my acceptance letter, from the countless times you sacrificed me for Blair, there has been no relationship between us. You gave birth to me, yet you did not raise me. Abandoning me first and then abusing me later. Now, what right do you have to criticize me? What right do you have to demand an apology from me? I looked at them, speaking each word deliberately, clearly. I don't want your blood money. I don't want any twisted inheritance you think you hold over me. I never saw a cent of any college fund anyway. I, Thea, from this day forward, officially sever all ties with your family. From now on, the bridge belongs to the bridge, the road belongs to the road, and we have nothing to do with each other. After saying this, I no longer looked at their shocked and angry faces. I turned away. This time, I walked away with unwavering determination. And an incredible sense of relief. After completely cutting ties with that family, my life finally welcomed true sunshine. I successfully went abroad for the exchange program. At the university overseas, I witnessed a broader world. I learned more knowledge. I made many like-minded friends. After graduation, with excellent grades and rich experience, I joined a top multinational company. My life finally got on the right track. Over the years, I occasionally heard some news about that family. I heard that after Blair returned home, she became even more hysterical. She threw tantrums and broke things all day long. Janice and Wayne were tormented by her and suffered greatly. I heard that David's investments failed, leaving him deep in debt. The big house was sold. Now they live in a small, run-down place. I heard that Blair couldn't bear the hardship, and she ran off with some man and never came back. I heard that after Declan graduated, he worked at an ordinary company. He didn't have a good life. I also heard that he dated several girlfriends, but none of the relationships lasted. All of this no longer concerned me. I focused on my career. I worked hard and I lived earnestly. A few years later, thanks to my outstanding abilities, I got a big promotion. I became the youngest leader in my department. I had a great salary. I bought a house of my own. It wasn't large, but it was warm and comfortable. It was mine. I made new friends. I started a new life. And everything was getting better and better. One day, I attended an industry summit. And I unexpectedly ran into Agnes. She had come with her son, who also worked in this industry. Thea? Is it really you? Agnes's eyes welled up with tears as she saw me, overwhelmed with emotion. I was also very excited. I quickly stepped forward and held her hand. Agnes, what are you doing here? Are you okay? I'm fine, really fine. Agnes wiped her tears and looked me up and down. Thea, you've made it. That's wonderful. Truly wonderful. We talked a lot. Agnes told me she had long since left the family. She couldn't stand what Janice and Wayne were doing. She confirmed the rumors. David was broke, and they lived in a tiny, run-down apartment. Hearing this, I felt no ripple in my heart. Only a sense of dust settling. This was the fate they deserved. Agnes took my hand and said with emotion, Thea, seeing you doing so well now, Agnes can finally rest easy. Agnes, thank you. I choked up and couldn't continue. If it weren't for you back then, I might have. Silly child, why say that? Agnes patted my hand. This is all something you earned. Through your own hard work. Yes. All of this is the result of my own hard work. After the summit ended, a familiar voice called out behind me. Thea? I turned around. I saw a man in a suit, handsome, with gentle eyes. It was Declan. Years had passed. He had matured a lot. But deep in his gaze, there still seemed to be a trace of guilt and regret. Long time no see, I said calmly. Declan looked at me, his eyes filled with complexity. You seem to be doing well. Yeah. Pretty good, I nodded. I'm sorry, Thea, Declan suddenly said. Back then, at first, I didn't know she was your sister. By the time I found out, I was already with her. I cut him off. Declan. It's all in the past. I looked at him, not as a monster, but just as a pathetic, weak man. To me, you both have long been strangers. So there's no need to talk about the past anymore. I don't want to hear it. Nor do I wish to. Declan didn't say anything more. And I turned away and left. Those hurts, those betrayals, those pains. They had all become the past. I have already let go. But that doesn't mean I will forgive. For the rest of my life, I never want to see them again. I looked up at the clear blue sky, my heart filled with hope for the future. In this life, I am no one's stepping stone. I have become myself. My life is just beginning. The future is full of promise. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, or if you've ever felt like this, please share your thoughts. It helps to know we're not alone. And so, Thea's journey reminds us of an essential truth: our worth is not defined by the circumstances we are born into or the way others treat us, but by how we choose to rise above adversity. Her story is a testament to the power of resilience, self-belief, and the courage to break free from toxic cycles. It teaches us that even in the face of betrayal and pain, we hold the power to reclaim our lives and rewrite our own narrative. Life often throws challenges that test our strength, but it is in those moments that we discover who we truly are. Thea's unwavering determination to stand up for herself and pursue her dreams, despite the odds, is an inspiration to us all. It reminds us to value ourselves, to set boundaries, and to never let others dim our light. What about you? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to fight for your worth or make a tough decision to protect your happiness? Share your thoughts below or comment good if this story resonates with you. Let's inspire each other to keep moving forward, no matter the obstacles.